Hey, everybody, welcome back to Cancers. I'm so excited to see everybody today. It's going to be an incredible show. Cancers is a podcast about the modern cancer journey. There are so many different ways that cancer takes shape and takes hold of people's lives in today's world. And we're going to talk about a lot of those. We're going to talk about a lot of environmental cancers and how those are not only increasing, but need to become more into the forefront of people's attention. And we're going to take a look at trying to find a few answers from people with cancer, and as well as questions that people that have cancer are looking for more answers. We'll talk about a little bit more about that later. I'm your host, Eric Crown, and I've actually been battling environmental cancer since 2005. Bit of a milestone today, actually. I've been off of my chemo meds for, I want to say, about a year and a half now, and my beard's growing back. So I didn't want to shave. I didn't want to shave. I don't usually like to be this unkempt, but there you go. So take a gander. There's the beard. It's back. Might not be here next time you see me. Anyway, just wanted to share that with everybody. Um, So, the thing about cancer is that it has been on the rise internationally. Today, we're going to talk about exposure and awareness. And again, I want to reiterate that this podcast focuses on cancers around the world and people that are experiencing it around the world, from Western to Eastern medicines and exposures from every corner of the globe. We want to discuss and investigate all the various approaches people are using to cure cancers, as well as how they deal with the cancers in their areas. And Terry and I have actually been talking to a lot of different people around the world as we travel, working on environmental projects to learn more about what's happening, and as well to try some new ideas because for me, they're kind of running out of ideas on what to do for my cancer. So we're reaching a point where they can't really help me anymore. This again, since 2005, I've had radiation on my head, my spine. I've been in over a dozen surgeries, been in chemo, been on other experimental drugs. Nothing has worked. Matter of fact, my cancer continues to spread. It's manageable, but as they told me, I'll never get rid of it. So it's just something you have to live with. Now, this is unfortunately something becoming more and more common. We talked about the other day, and this is really important. Just bring this idea back. The idea that modern research shows 1 in 2 men and 1 in 3 women will be diagnosed with cancer. So if there are 4 people in your family, it gives you a sense of what the odds are that we're looking at, which are not the odds we should be talking about in this modern world. Now, luckily we're have this project that we've been working on, Cancer Alley, and we want to talk about it because it's a great example of the awareness and how awareness can lead to education, which can lead to change, which is all fantastic. Um, Before we begin, I do want to just share with everybody a moment from my cancer journey. This is going to be a little weird looking, but I want to share with you the tumor that was coming out of my head and then my radiation experience, which did manage to shrink it. Because, when we're talking about things like this, you have to talk about the fact that sometimes it takes months that you have to live with these things and they're painful. This is the other thing about cancer. It's not that you just get diagnosed one day, there's no discomfort, and you get a pill the next day and then you're all done. That's the story that people like to have. That's the story that people like to tell. I just was found this the other day, and I do apologize. It's a little gross, but this is where the cancer. Now you can see I had had a previous surgery to try to remove it, and it actually was coming back. So that led to me getting my little mask version of myself, and you see where the cutout is. That is where the went on, and you can see there I'm locked in. It keeps your head locked in. This way you don't move at all, and you get the same place radiated. So that is right here. It's very strange because now there's a giant hole where you see that cutout was. and that hole no longer can sweat. So it'd be the middle of 100-degree weather, and there's just no sweat glands. So it's another weird thing about radiation. So, and then when they don't put the mask on you to lock you down, you have the option of getting a permanent tattoo or a marker tattoo for your other settings. But that was my other radiation. So, the reason that I bring it up is because I've traveled the world, I've seen trash everywhere in the world, but never quite on this scale where these companies are pumping into the air, into parks and areas next door. So we were really excited to get down. Here we are testing a little bit of water from just a little bit of a pond. It had this very solid look to it. It was very, very strange. So we wanted to check that out. And, again, this is an interesting image because this is where there's a graveyard inside of a try to build around, and then we're back. Okay. So let's see. Who do we have here today? And thank you. I see that Sierra put up one of the articles about early onset cancer. Now, recently, there have been articles about the fact that cancer is due to life problems, life choices. Now, you got to be a little lucky to have where you live as a life choice. Most people around the world live in environments that are very difficult and they try to get out. Those are the same communities that tend to be poisoned. So there's this weird idea now that I've seen recently in all these articles, spike in children's cancer, spike in children's cancer. Well, it's not a big surprise because they're being poisoned in every way in possible. Um, that we live in a very toxic environment. My personal experience was, and we'll talk about this later, but I love surfing and I'm wearing my wetsuit there. Now, this is a big problem because neoprene, when it's made, creates chloroprene, which is one of the big, big problems that we have to deal with um, as far as chemicals go. So, how do you know what's happening? How do you know that you're even in danger? How do you know that you're in an area where you're potentially in a cancer cluster? I was living in Venice Beach when I was diagnosed, so it's not like I was expecting that. And so that's something that you have to start thinking about as well. What is your environment? If you have any concerns, everybody should always know the quality of their water. And I'm going to give you a couple resources today on this podcast in order for you to check out and find out what's happening in your area to see what you might be exposed to. Because this is the problem is we're all being exposed to hidden dangers. And we don't know what that is until it becomes manifested through generally what they call a cancer cluster. Now, I want to show a quick video on what a cancer cluster is, but we'll also talk about the failures to create knowledge about more cancer clusters. But first, here's what a cancer cluster is, according officially to the CDC.
State and local health agencies can sometimes use state cancer registry information to look at the number of cancers in a community compared to the number in the state. Comparisons are made within groups of people of the same age, sex, and race because there are some known factors that influence the likelihood of getting cancer. A finding of more cancers than expected in an area does not mean there is a single cause or risk that can be identified or addressed. The findings can be due to chance, known risk factors, unknown causes, and other reasons. The cause of the possible cancer cluster may not be identified.
Okay, well, that actually took a weird twist at the end. That's not what I was expecting, quite honestly. All right, we find this a lot, especially with people that have cancer. As soon as you tell people you have cancer, the first thing they say is, "Oh, well, did your mom have it? Did your grandfather have it?" immediately they want to try to find a genetic reason for it, which is always a good place to begin. After the genetic reasons, there are environmental reasons. But what we find is that they skip over any environmental reasons that companies may be responsible for and go right to the consumer. So, for example, in Florida, they will give you a free radon testing kit because radon is in your home. If you discover radon in your home, it's up to you. It's your responsibility to get that radon removed. And radon is like a gas version of a radiation that's permeating through the ground there. Now, why is that radiation permeating through the ground? If you're in Florida and you live near Mosaic or the mines, it's because you are near the mines and they're adding that radiation. But their responsibility gets skirted and your responsibility becomes paramount, and then they want you to pay for everything. So it really comes down to what seems to be, and a lot of people that have cancer will tell you this, what seems to be a money game in multiple ways. Um, Number one, that is one of them, is that if you're going to be sick, it's probably your fault. Um, did you smoke? Okay, yeah, very fair question. Personally, I used to smoke cigarettes. I smoked cigarettes until the year 2000, until my dad passed away from lung cancer, uh, which I do not have lung cancer. He had it more than likely from smoking cigarettes. It wasn't a genetic thing. Um, but watching him slowly die in the hospital was enough incentive for me to stop. So I quit in 2000. Best decision I ever made. But yes, I did smoke then. The cancer I have is not from any kind of smoking um, at all. So, but the first thing is, what happened? Is it something that you did maybe? Then now the new one that but also okay. So what's if we are admitting that people that smoke cigarettes are getting lung cancer? Why aren't the companies that are selling them held responsible? Corporate responsibility is always eliminated in this discussion, and this is where things really need to change because as people with environmental cancers, it didn't just happen. It's not natural. It's not because we chose to live in an area that's on reclaimed land or an area near a mine or an area that, is being poisoned by the air. And the air is crazy. I mean, we know that air can travel for over 10 miles. Here is an EPA air toxic screening assessment 2019 estimated cancer risk. This is in the area of Cancer Alley, where we were, and St. Charles is basically where New Orleans is. You can see it on the bottom right, and then at the top left is West and East Baton Rouge. Now, Cancer Alley is the Mississippi, and it runs through there. It runs along where St. John the Baptist, St. James, Ascension, Iberville, and these other parishes are Assumption. So, starting at St. Charles, you can see that the risks of cancer are massive. And that's because they get a lot of air pollution. So we see this problem play out everywhere. What happens is basically companies can get permits to go in, take water like they do in Florida, take 100 million gallons a day, run it through their system, make it filled with radiation, dirt, heavy metals, toxins that they use the water to purify other elements of their process, return that water back to the rivers, back to the groundwater. And that groundwater very often is what goes through and is purified for local town water or drinking water. So already the system is broken in the way that we're treating water as a resource that's there for industry first and people second. That's giving a lot of people cancer, not to mention what's coming out of the smokestacks. We have heard, and people down in New Orleans have heard that it's just steam. It's just steam. I'm curious if anybody else has ever heard that. It's just steam. Well, it's not steam, and they're all permitted. Problem here is everything is permitted. Most companies comply with the law, and the law allows them to poison us on a daily basis for profit. So a lot has to be changed. Not only does the law have to be changed, but the enforcement policies have to be changed. So when you are in an area, there are some resources. Let's go over a few resources right now, really quickly, that you can use to determine if you're in a dangerous area or not. Because the question really needs to be what's in your water, what's in your air, and what's in your area. These are the three really, really important questions. And we've got a couple great ways that we can help show. Let's see, 1 second here. We are going to, first of all, go to the, here we go. We're going to go to the environmental justice map from the EPA. So as you can see right there, error occurred. Okay. So this map is one of the many, many tools you can use to go there. You can see you can. Okay, we're still here. Sorry about that pause. Sorry about the delay. We are back. We wanted to give you a couple of different places to get this map. So the next one that I'm going to be putting up here is going to be for testing your water. Now this will, and we'll show you also how it works here. Let me pop it in the comments. So this is a group called the EWG Environmental Working Group, and what they do is, let's see if we can share this screen with you really fast. Well, what they do is they actually will test water everywhere. Be fast. Okay, here we go. Interactive maps. Yes. So we're going to come down here and you can check this map out. This map will show you based on your zip code how the water is. It tests your drinking water. It's got military sites, other sites. So you can find where you live and go in and they will give you all of your water information. Now that is an amazing first step to have because if you go in and you find that some of your water is questionable or dangerous or above level, it gives you a way to check and to know that okay, now we have a water issue. Now you can start to find local water groups that are fighting to make a big change for you, and that's going to be the next